Imagine you are about to leave Earth, not to land on the moon, but to go farther than any human has in over 50 years. And once you're out there, you're completely on your own. No rescue mission, no quick return, just a small capsule, drifting through deep space into the vast nothingness of the universe. This is Artemis II.
New Artemis II.
Artemis II.
Artemis II mission.
The Artemis II crew.
The crew of Artemis II.
And almost nobody realizes how insane this mission really is. Because this isn't just a trip around the moon, it's humanity's first real step back into deep space, a test of courage, technology, and survival itself.
1. Booster ignition and liftoff. The crew of Artemis II now bound for the moon.
And what happens out there could decide the future of every mission that follows. However, behind the official NASA press releases, there is a version of this mission that is so much stranger, so much more human, and honestly so much more terrifying than anything that made the front page. So if you thought you already knew everything about Artemis II, trust me, you don't. Stick around. Here are the top 10 facts that you don't know about Artemis II. The last one will blow your mind. You don't want to miss this.
Good roll pitch.
Roger, roll pitch.
This is the one that should have been front-page news everywhere. During the unmanned Artemis mission in 2022, engineers discovered more than 100 locations on the Orion heat shield that had cracked and broken off during re-entry. The shield was designed to melt away, not pop off in chunks. The Artemis II has a remarkably less permeable shield than the one on Artemis, meaning the same failure mode was even more likely to occur. Rather than delay to fix it, NASA flew Artemis II with the same flawed design and simply changed how the capsule returned, a counterintuitive solution of applying more heat more consistently. One former NASA engineer, Charles Kamada, publicly called it playing Russian roulette and compared the agency's analytical tools to those that failed to prevent Challenger and Columbia, the two catastrophic NASA space shuttle disasters that resulted in the loss of both vehicles and their 7-member crews. The re-entry itself is 13 minutes of things that have to go right, said NASA's own flight director. If the shield fails, the underlying metallic structure could melt, rupture, and disintegrate. There is no way for the astronauts to escape.
People on the ground saw the streak of the shuttle breaking up.
And then suddenly things started raining down out of the sky.
So NASA launched 4 humans on a spacecraft with a known flaw in the one system that had to work perfectly. And on the way there, they had to pull out sunglasses. At the moon,
Columbia, Houston, we see your tire pressure messages and we did not copy your last. Roger.
From the crew's perspective, the moon appeared large enough to completely block the sun, creating nearly 54 minutes of totality, extending the view far beyond what is possible from Earth. For comparison, the longest total solar eclipse possible from Earth lasts just 7 minutes. These astronauts experienced nearly an hour of it.
To be unreal. The sun has gone behind the moon, and the corona is still visible, and it's bright, and it creates a halo almost around the entire moon.
The crew used eclipse viewers identical to what NASA produced for the 2023 annular eclipse and the 2024 total solar eclipse to protect their eyes at key moments, the first use of eclipse glasses at the moon to safely view a solar eclipse. With a view of a mostly darkened moon, the crew analysed the solar corona, the sun's outermost atmosphere. As it appeared around the moon's edge, they could also see stars, because with the sun completely blocked, the sky around them went dark enough to see stars with the naked eye. Victor Glover described the view. After all of the amazing sights that we saw earlier, we just went sci-fi. 54 minutes of totality, something no human had ever experienced at that scale. And while they were staring at it, completely mesmerized, the moon started getting bombarded right in front of their eyes.
And thank you to all of you for allowing us the immense privilege to be on this journey together. It's quite amazing.
This was completely unplanned, a bonus discovery that sent Mission Control into a frenzy. During the period of near-total darkness on the moon's surface, created by the eclipse, the crew suddenly started seeing flashes. They reported 6 meteoroid impact flashes on the darkened lunar surface. Unlike Earth, the moon has no atmosphere to burn up incoming space rocks. So every pebble or boulder that hits it creates a brief, bright flash of light. Scientists were already looking forward to the images, planning to look at audio and other data to determine better times and locations of the flashes, and seeking input from amateur astronomers who were observing the moon at the same time. Think about that. 6 actual asteroid impacts observed by humans in real time from 4,000 miles away. That has never happened before in history. 6 rocks, 6 flashes, witnessed live 250,000 miles from home. But then the signal died, and nobody on Earth could do anything about it.
And 26 seconds away from that loss of signal. Again, we will be out of communication with them for about 40 minutes until they come around the other side of the moon and we can re-establish contact.
This one hits different when you really sit with it. As the spacecraft flew behind the moon, every single radio signal from Mission Control, from their families, from the entire planet, went dead. The 40-minute communications blackout was among the longest in human spaceflight history. Just before it happened, Mission Control sent this final message.
Integrity Houston, you are 6 minutes from your 40-minute lunar flyby LOS. From all of us, it's a privilege to witness you carrying the fire past our farthest reach. Thank you. Godspeed.
Then, nothing. 4 humans, completely alone, on the far side of the moon. No abort option, no help, just silence. The crew witnessed an Earth set, the moment Earth dropped below the lunar horizon as Orion travelled behind the moon, and an Earthrise as the spacecraft emerged from the opposite edge. 40 minutes of nothing. And when they came back online, the most emotional moment of the entire mission was waiting for them. Not a scientific discovery, something far more human than that.
As we continue to unlock the mysteries of the cosmos, I would like to remind you of one of the most important mysteries there on Earth, and that's love.
This is the emotional gut punch of the entire mission. The name Carol honours Carol Taylor Wiseman, who died of cancer in 2020 at age 46, leaving behind her husband, Reed, and 2 daughters. The astronauts named 2 small craters on the lunar surface during the mission. Integrity, named after the crew's nickname for the Orion spacecraft, and Carol, after Commander Wiseman's late wife. 'Cause 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 The decision to use the name Carol didn't come from a quiet meeting on the ground. Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen requested the name during a live broadcast as the crew looked out at the view, sharing the moment with the world.
And we would like to call it Carol. And you spell that C-A-R-R-O-L-L.
Reed Wiseman said nothing for a long moment after it was announced. You could hear it. A crater on the moon, bearing her name forever. And they named it, while breaking a record that was never supposed to be broken in the first place.
But we, most importantly, choose this moment to challenge this generation and the next to make sure this record is not long-lived.
On April 6th, 2026, the Artemis II crew surpassed the record for human spaceflight's farthest distance, previously set by the Apollo 13 mission in 1970, traveling 248,655 miles from Earth. NASA Apollo 13, in case you didn't know, is the mission where the oxygen tank exploded 2 days in. The crew nearly died, and they had to improvise their way back to Earth using the lunar lander as a lifeboat. The fact that their distance record, set during an emergency survival situation, stood for 56 years is insane. Artemis II broke it, ultimately reaching 252,756 miles, the farthest any human being has ever been from Earth. Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen honoured the efforts of earlier space explorers as the crew broke the record. Reed Wiseman then looked out the window, spotted the planet train, Earth, Moon and Mars lined up, and said live on air,
and then we could see the planet train line up and we at Mars, and all of us commented how excited we are to watch this nation and this planet become a two-planet species.
Amazing.
We will continue our journey even further into space before Mother Earth succeeds in pulling us back to everything that we hold dear.
This is one of those facts that sounds made up but is 100% real. One of Artemis II's core objectives was to test what happens when Orion systems degrade or fail. So, in a planned test, the Orion spacecraft intentionally turned off some of its thrusters to allow the crew to assess how the spacecraft would fly in a scenario in which some engines stop working. Christina Koch, who got to manually pilot the spacecraft during this test, described her reaction, how tight the control algorithms were, and watching it respond when we actually degraded it on purpose. It was just amazing to be in a deep space spacecraft and just be flying it around by hand. They switched off the very engines keeping them alive, 250,000 miles from Earth, to see what would happen, and Koch, who was piloting, described it as one of her favourite moments. This is wild. This fact compresses the entire history of human flight into one small bag aboard Orion. Aboard Artemis II was a 1-inch square of fabric from the plane used in the Wright brothers' first powered flight in 1903, an American flag that previously flew on the first and last space shuttle missions, as well as the first piloted test of the Crew Dragon spacecraft. There was even a flag that was supposed to fly on board the cancelled Apollo 18 mission, finally visiting the moon half a century later. Apollo 18 was cancelled in 1970. Someone kept that flag for 56 years, waiting, and it finally made it to the moon on April 6th, 2026. Let me repeat this. That flag has been waiting longer than you have been alive. Let that sink in.
And we are honored to carry the torch from Apollo through Skylab, through the space shuttle, through our beloved International Space Station.
One of the scientific objectives of the flyby was to observe the 3.8 billion-year-old Oriental Basin, a nearly 600-mile-wide crater that sits between the moon's near and far sides, formed when a large object struck the lunar surface. NASA said the Artemis II crew was the first to see the entire basin, known as the Grand Canyon of the Moon. Scientists had been working for years to explain the dramatic elevation of features on the moon's south pole. The elevation changes are greater than the elevation of Mount Everest on Earth, said lunar scientist David Kring. And here's what made Mission Control erupt. The crew's eye observations were scientifically unprecedented. The human eye, especially when it's connected to a well-trained brain, is capable of just in literally the blink of an eye making nuanced colour observations, said lunar science lead Kelsey Young. Wiseman's live description of the Oriental Basin's rings was so detailed and vivid that Young responded, "Oh my gosh, that was an amazing picture you just painted." Those types of observations are things that humans are uniquely able to contribute. Read Wiseman's final word on what he saw. No matter how long we look at this, our brains are not processing this image in front of us. It is absolutely spectacular, surreal. There are no adjectives. The crew took about 10,000 photos during the 7-hour flyby. 3.8 billion years old, 600 miles wide, never seen by human eyes until 10 days ago. Mind you, the number one fact has nothing to do with the moon. It's about what these 4 humans left behind. But before we jump into the wildest fact about Artemis II, show some love by smashing the like and subscribe buttons. It helps me out and ensures that you don't miss any of the exciting stuff I've got lined up. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around for what's coming next.
It's just everything from the training, but in 3D and absolutely unbelievable. This is incredible.
Kathy Moonjoy.
The crazy thing about the toilet is that even though it's in the floor, once you're in there, you don't have a clue. You have no idea whether you're in the floor or which way your head's facing or anything. You could be floor, ceiling, wall, doesn't matter.
NASA spent years engineering the most advanced space toilet ever built. 3D printed titanium, works for men and women, even has a door for privacy. It broke 9 minutes after launch. So 4 astronauts, the best minds on the planet, had to pee into Ziploc bags. And when they tried to dump the bags into space, Mission Control stopped them because a bag of astronaut urine, vented at the wrong moment, could have knocked the entire spacecraft off course. Then, the urine pipe froze. So NASA did what any reasonable space agency would do. They rotated the entire spacecraft to point the frozen pee pipe at the sun. And when that didn't work, turns out it wasn't ice at all. The antibacterial chemicals inside the toilet were reacting with each other and clogging their own filter. Oh, and the toilet was so loud they had to wear ear protection to use it.
Because our toilet is a little bit on the loud side, so you have to wear hearing protection when you're in here. But we're making that work. We're making that work. It's just another thing we have to coordinate with each other.
The final score: the poop came home with them. The pee is floating somewhere between Earth and the moon right now, permanently. A tiny monument to human achievement, drifting through the solar system forever. The universe now carries a tiny piece of these 4 astronauts with it, for all eternity. And just like that, after days in the darkness of deep space, after travelling farther than any human has in over half a century, Orion is home, the fire is gone, the silence is broken, and Earth is no longer a distant blue dot, but the ground beneath their feet. 4 humans left this planet and came back carrying something more than just data. They proved that we can go further, that we can survive out there, that the journey back to the moon is no longer a dream. Because this mission, Artemis II, was never just about going to space. It is about proving that humanity is ready to take the next step. And now, the path to the moon is open. And this time, we're not just visiting, we are going to stay.